North, south, east, west, the deal. Y'all already know how it's gonna go. Let's go ahead and take a few seconds and get our minds right before we get into this. Real quick, if this your first time to It's Milk TV, what's the deal? Go ahead and smash that like and that subscribe button. Now let's go. So we just reacted to that video where Gumby went off on the OG from Texas and told him he was false flagging his gang for 35 years. His gang wasn't real. It don't exist, bro. It will not get acknowledged in California. So we got to react to the interview that set off that chain of reactions, right? Because this might start a gang war. So let's go. Let's log in and see what's the script. Come on.
A lot of people are not familiar with the fact that the Crips had been in Fort Worth since the early 80s. You know, you had brothers like...
What does that mean that Crips been in Fort Worth since like the 80s, bro? They was selling knockoff designer in New York in the 80s. Like, come on. What does that mean?
You know, several, you know what I'm saying, known Crips, Nolan, you know what I'm saying, this brother,
Any Hoover Crips?
You know what I'm saying, Rank, you know what I'm saying, you had known Crips, you know, some from Cali, some from Louisiana, you know, they were here, you know. We've been going back and forth on the internet about this GC thing and this HCG thing. And we wanted to give some clarity to the fact of how, you know, Fort Worth has always had a history of Crip. I want to show, first of all, these two documents, you know what I'm saying, for all the people. This is Stanley Tookie Williams, you know what I'm saying? We stand behind Tookie, you know, the Hoovers doing in the state of Texas and the city of Fort Worth, you know. We not against Hoover at all. We Hoover here. But let me show you a document that's also very, very important. And this is the obituary of Raymond Washington, you know. See, y'all got to understand that in Fort Worth, we stand as Hoovers, but it's not just Hoovers in Fort Worth. It's not just Hoovers in Texas. It's all different kinds of sets of Crip in Texas. So for Raymond Washington, the Hoovers, we stand under Crip. We stand on Crip. Crip is one car here. We don't make no distinction between the sets. And it was brothers like this brother right here, you hear me, who basically brought the idea of Crips being together, you know. He brought the 6-0s, he brought Hoover, he brought himself, which is East Coast Neighborhood. He brought various sets to the city of Fort Worth. And what these big brothers did was they put their difference aside and started to set the example.
He got to clarify when he said that, oh boy, L.A. Ron brought the 60s, the Hoovers and all that to Texas. Like, what do you mean he brought those gangs? Because I'm pretty sure it was individuals that was from them different areas already established. And L.A. Ron only went down there for one thing. And they was doing that one thing also, bro. So I don't know what he mean by that.
Really linked out into the whole state of Texas, you see. Because everybody knows that Cripping has a serious and early history in Fort Worth, you see. And when these brothers got here into our city, they was under one umbrella. They was all Crips moving under the same motion. It was never about me tripping with, or he tripping with him because he's 6-0, or he tripping with him because he Hoover, or he tripping with him because he neighborhood. It was all the Crips that was in the circle that were working together, and they was doing their thing, you know. And they set that example. That's a high example that a lot of people don't really seem to get and understand.
So basically, they politics is like how it was in LA in like the early 80s, bro, where all Crips got along. And I don't think it's nothing wrong with that, bro. It's not. That's not the issue, bro. The issue is not that. Not with me, at least, bro. Like, I understand that different states gonna politic different, but the people like L.A. Ron, I mean, maybe they just wasn't, because it's like, bro, like if you could come out here and get them to Crip on one accord, why you couldn't get your homies in Los Angeles to Crip on one accord? Maybe that was just a mission impossible.
About the state of Fort Worth is that we got big Crips that came to this area and set a high example of how Crips are supposed to be all over the world. You know, the laws state that a Crip ain't never supposed to kill no other Crip, you see. Now, we ain't saying that didn't happen here, but we got brothers like this that kept us on the straight and narrow so that didn't continue to happen, you see. We had brothers like this brother who was always around setting the example of how Crips can all get money together, you see. And, you know, we didn't get it at first. I'm not going to say we got it at first. But once we got to a certain point in our own minds where we realized what our big brothers was doing, we got on board with that script. Because to us, that was the right script.
Now, L.A. Ron wasn't really no line presser from what I know. He was the individual that was getting the money. He was too rich for conflict, bro. So I would understand him getting out there wanting everybody to be on one court, really, because he was really trying to get some money, bro. Because from what I heard, he wasn't really like the hard line pusher. Like, he wasn't really like gang banging. He was just a gang member getting the money.
You know, we didn't make no distinctions or we didn't set no barriers on Crip. See, a Crip is a Crip. And according to the laws, we don't kill Crips, you see. And that narrative we going to continue to follow in the city of Fort Worth and in the state of Texas. We're not practicing no Crip on Crip violence here. We are here as an example. You got Big Bro, you got brothers like me, you got brothers like Duke, you got homies in the H, you got homies in Tyler, you got homies all around the state of Texas. And we all on the same narrative that we don't support Crip on Crip violence.
How y'all down there pushing the same narrative and y'all don't support Crip on Crip violence when half of y'all is from Fathers Hoover Crip gang and then the other half of y'all is from Fathers Hoover Gangsta Crip and y'all have conflict, y'all beef, bro. Y'all going to whoa, like it's up, the smoke is there. So what are you talking about?
You see, and we would never abandon Crip, especially here in Texas. We will not abandon Crip.
What you mean by that?
We see that as treason, you know. And we never abandoned Crip, and we won't. Now, how everybody else wanted.
So what is you saying? The LA Hoovers committed treason because they dropped Crip? Huh? How did the founding area, how did the original gang commit treason? They make the rules.
Wherever they from, that's on y'all. But where we stand in Fort Worth and in Texas, we stand stiff on CRIP. You hear me? We stand stiff on that. And that's Community Revolution in Progress. And that's a structure that Raymond Washington put down. You know what I'm saying? And then you already...
Bro, what are you talking about? When Raymond Washington was alive and pushing Crip, it wasn't no acronym behind that word, bro. Crip did not mean Community Revolution in Progress, bro. Crip didn't mean Community Revolution in Progress. They was around there pressing people and taking leather coats. The word Crip, that acronym didn't have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. And I really don't think it still got anything to do with it.
The big homie took it because he put down a structure too. And I'm not in a disagreement with none of the script. But the script we have is a script of Community Revolution in Progress where all Crips are the same. All Crips, there's no Crip that's better than the other Crip. You know, I'm not going to promote Hoover over the 60s. And the 60s ain't going to promote 60s over Hoover. We're not going to go and do a drive-by or ride on those 60s because they 60s. Hoover don't do that in Texas, you see. Because we believe in Crip. We don't just believe in Hoover. We respect Hoover, we ride with Hoover, but we just don't believe that Hoover is more important than Crip. To us, Crip means a whole lot.
Yeah, I could tell L.A. Ron really laced his chucks because he's saying that he putting Crip over Hoover, bro. When it don't work like that, no it don't. Not at all. Under no circumstances. It's Hoover before anything.
Tradition. And I said, we gonna stay HCG, you hear me, here in Texas. We're not gonna change that. We've heard people say, well, you got 5 those GCs, in Cali. And we got much love for the 5 those GCs wherever they are, because it's all Hoover, you see. But what the stand that we saying to everybody that want to try to judge us, but ain't never stepped in our shoes. We not comparing ourselves to the shoes that y'all got on. And the shoes that y'all got on will not fit our feet. And I'm pretty sure the shoes that y'all got on, we can't fit them either. So we got to put stuff in right perspective. Y'all wear the shoes that y'all wear for the reason that y'all wear it, but we wear the shoes that we wear for the reason that we wear them. And we not going to stop repping, the way we rep. And we ask, that everybody stop having an opinion about us rather than to come meet us and find out how serious we groove and how respected we are all over the state of Texas. Not just in Fort Worth, but all over the state of...
It don't matter how much you respect it in Texas. It don't matter how hard your groove is. You don't make the rules when you are a branch off of a gang, bro. And then when you are a fake branch off of that gang, because the gang you claiming ain't even real, ain't been sanctioned, nobody approved it, it has not been okayed, none of that, bro. So you can't make the rules. You don't tell the original hood what you gonna do. It don't work like that, bro. If you feel like you bigger than that program, then you just drop the Hoover off your gang, period, and figure it out and keep it going. But you're not bigger than the program. You're not the program. You ain't making the program rules. You ain't dictating none of that. The people in Texas, they don't know the script. Yeah, we not saying y'all busters down there or nothing like that, bro. But the shit you claiming is not real. Realistically, though.
Hoover is respected. Texas is a Medina. They call it Fort Worth, baby, LA. Because we've been repping this in Fort Worth, really in Texas, period.
Nah, that ain't baby LA.
You can call Texas baby Cali, baby California.
No.
Because we've been repping the same as the homies, have in Cali, We've been following, behind brothers like this, behind brothers like my big homie Hoover Drake, behind brothers like Lil Rank.
Arkansas might be considered baby LA. When it comes to gang banging anyway, Seattle might be called baby LA, baby California, bro. I've never heard of Fort Worth or Texas being called that, to be honest. Like, I don't know. Y'all let me know.
And we carried on this tradition. Now, a lot of people want to judge us and say, well, y'all shouldn't be HCG. But who are y'all to say y'all can't be mad at us because this is the way it was given to us by our forefathers. And most of them are gone.
Very
so
convenient.
Y'all arguing in vain. And then to ask us to change after 38 years, that's like asking a child to adhere to parents that never was there for 38 years. So please understand that we mean no disrespect to nobody, but we been walking in these shoes as Hoover HCG for the last 38 years in Texas, especially in Fort Worth. We not infringing on nobody. We never judged anybody. We never judged anybody for the variations and all the different things that they have done to Hoover. We never looked at anyone and threw any stones and said, hey, y'all are operating wrong. So I don't think it's fair for people to come to us and tell us that we operate. The ideal is to bridge the gaps and to bring Hoover together or to bring Crips together and to stop the Crip on Crip violence. That's something that every Crip and every gangster need to mature to. Is that the Crip on Crip violence in the United States has gotten out of hand. And if we don't stop ourselves, they gonna put somebody in position to stop us. But you know, I done ran my mouth a little bit. I'm gonna let Big Bro, you know what I'm saying, LA Run, speak his piece.
You know, I did 33 years in the feds. And when you stand on something, you got to stand on it. When you name yourself these different names, I hear dudes say their name was CK this and B. You got to stand on that, homie, because when dudes approach you and you ain't about your business, they going to say, oh, that nigga was faking. But I truly do believe that Fort Worth, homie, is standing on business. And I think, you know, they're willing to go to war for this shit. And I talked to them about it a few different ways. But, you know, I never really seen people that joined Crips. A lot of them was Hoovers first. A lot of them, a lot of them was hustlers first, excuse me. And hustlers, they was like, man, we was hustlers, but we turned Crip.
Right.
But I never heard nobody go, we Crip, then we finna turn something else. You feel me? I never heard that. So when I see people.
Okay, so now I see why Gumby was feeling some type of way, because I think LA Ryan is kind of taking shots at the Hoovers for dropping the Crip card, except excluding the five deuces and turning criminals, right? Don't that seem like a shot? It seemed like he's taking a shot. You feel me? He's saying he's seen people go from like being hustler crews, you know, little crews on the block, they get money. It's a few of them, you know, you might think they're a gang, and then eventually they probably did turn into a Crip gang, right? That happened. I understand that. But he's saying he never seen somebody that joined Crips drop the Crip and turn to something else. So that do seem like some type of shot at the Hoovers, bro. And right, it seemed like it's in defense of people coming at his little homie over there, OG, whatever his name is, about him claiming Fado's Hoover Crip gang instead of Hoover Gangster Crip, right? It seemed like he coming to defense over that some type of way.
Getting outside of the Crip, that's something different, homie. But I done seen dudes was taggers, hustlers, a little bit of you know, everything, you know, pimps, you know, they put the Crip on it. But I never seen nobody get in the Crip and then say, we're going to be Crip. We're going to just drop that. Yeah, go ahead. But then that means, you know, this subject, man, it's kind of hard for me to talk to. Like I say, man, you know, I'm from East Coast. And at the end of the day, I came down here. I used to live in Hoover Hood. And I always knew Coke Dog, Ken Dog, the Hoovers that I knew, they was always Crips. And I really didn't never hear that much about the groove thing until I was in the feds. Ever since I moved on 49th and Hoover right around 1984, around the Olympics. I think it was 84, 82, 84. And it was always, Kendo used to always tell me, yeah, Fish, man, you know, we don't really get along. We don't get along with East Coast, homie, but you know, you over here and stuff like that. But he was always saying Crip. And this was in the 80s. I always heard about the Hoover Connect guys, the Folk Trade, Judah Bean and all those guys. But I never heard the Hoover, the Groovers until I got into the feds. And I think the first time I heard of it was in, I knew it had already been existing, but I already kind of seen it for myself when I got to Victorville, and that was in 2008. And but I had heard about it, but I didn't see it. And when I got to Victorville, I see Hoovers, and they was sitting at the table with the Damus, and that's when the first time I seen that it was an issue. And I ran into Biscuit from Folk Trey and Vic and the 40s. I ran into the 40s, and the 40s was in the county jail, and they was getting into it with the Sioux Woo or the Crips was hanging with the Bloods. Somebody was hanging with the Bloods, and dudes was in the feds with me, and they was kind of like salty about that, and they was saying that, man, we need to attack the Hoovers because in the county jail they riding with the Bloods, and it's some up in the units and stuff like that. But they asked me, they say, man, what's up with that with the dudes that was riding with the Bloods inside of the county jail? And it was a couple dudes, man, that I say, oh well, man, you know,
Wow.
these dudes wasn't even on the street for that. A lot of these dudes been in jail 4 or 5 years, and they wasn't on the street to even get into the swoon thing. So I'll suggest y'all let these guys make it, man. And a couple other guys like, all right, man, we're going to do that. But if anybody else come up, I say, well, this is what you do, man. If any of them dudes come up here that got into it with you in the county jail that was rolling that way, you got the right to get them, right? Mm. And that's when the first time I really seen that it was an issue. But I did 33 years in the feds, and I never had to divide the Crips with Crips. And then because when I was out here, and I left here in the 90s, 91, and guys used to ask about gangs in LA, and I used to tell them, man, you know, you got the East Side Crips, you got the West Side Crips, you got Long Beach, you got Compton, Watts, all these Crip sets. And I never really heard them say, you know, about this other stuff. But I just wanted to, you know, speak my piece on it. I know that one of the reasons a lot of stuff is down here is because guys would ask me, you know, what about this gang? And what about that gang? And what about that gang? And I would tell them. But I never had to tell them about, you know, nobody outside of the Crips, the Bloods or whatever, because, you know, I did bring my uncle down here. But at the same time, man, I think a lot of the younger guys, they say the younger guys is the ones that's really, you know, pushing certain issues. And a lot of them don't like to talk to the older guys. But you know what, man, when we end up in prison, when incarcerated, a lot of those divisions, they fall. But I know divided, you know, they gonna conquer us, but we together, we strong. And I know that, man, when we be in a TV room in the penitentiary and people in there don't want to watch certain shows, it's always majority rule. But I don't think that somebody is bigger, one gang is bigger than this Crippin'. So right. If you want to do that, go ahead. But you ain't bigger than, it's too many Crips, homie.
Right.
You outnumbered. You the minority, we the majority. And I guess it's them against everybody else. But I know everybody I talk to, a lot of people don't want to talk about this issue, and it need to be talked about. And one day somebody gonna get down to the bottom of it. So if you got to click up with somebody to beat up the Crips, homie, it's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Big C's.
I just seen it. People try it, you know, and they don't last long, you know.
And just to piggyback on what Big Bro said, the solving the issue is this, you know, my humble message, you know, to the homies from Cali. We have no discrepancies with y'all as being 5 Deuce Hoover GC, but we also ask that y'all have no discrepancies with 5 Deuce HCG, because we still Hoover, and we, number one, we still Crips, you know what I'm saying? And we do identify with the law of Crippin'.
Now I could understand Gumby feeling like LA Ron was taking shots at Hoover, I guess, you know, about them not being Crips no more. He was going on basically like a little semi-rant about the Sioux moving and grooving, but that's just his opinion about that situation. And he's not the first one to disagree, agree. Everybody got their own opinion. about them situations, homie, but should it been spoken about on the internet? I don't think so. And you really can't say, well, you know, he's sitting down on a platform with a Hoover, but that Hoover's from Texas and they get along with pretty much everybody out there, bro. So, you know, it's kind of like a crazy situation, but I don't think it should have hit the internet like it did. And it's unfortunate, bro, but it is what it is.